October 16th prophecy. God's orders were clear. Lift the faithful, strike the rebellious. Archangel Michael has already passed your house. Did he stop or did he move on? The date, October 16th, is not just another day in the passing of time. It is etched into the scrolls of heaven, a divine checkpoint in the eternal calendar of obedience. This day is not a coincidence, not a cosmic accident. It is a summoned moment, drawn forth by the voice of God and now resonating like a spiritual alarm in the realm of man. The atmosphere around this date carries a different weight, a sacred heaviness, as if heaven itself leans close to the earth, examining, discerning, separating. The order has already gone out. It was not whispered, it was declared. Lift the faithful, strike the rebellious. These are not poetic metaphors. They are spiritual instructions given to one of heaven's fiercest warriors, Archangel Michael, commander of angelic hosts, enforcer of God's will, and wielder of the sword that separates shadow from light. His mission is not emotional, it is precise. He does not come to debate or persuade. He comes to inspect, mark, or move on. And he has already passed your house. Yes, he has already moved down the lanes of obedience and rebellion, hovered above roofs, peered through the veil of performance into the hearts of people. Some homes he has paused over, glowing with the radiance of divine favor. Others, he has passed without pause, unnoticed by those within, yet marked in silence as untouched, unaligned, unresolved. And now, the question is being whispered from heaven's courtroom into the ears of your soul. Did he stop or did he move on? The answer is not in your words, but in your alignment. Not in your performances, but in your posture. The Spirit is whispering now, quietly but urgently, be still. The inspection has begun. This is not about public image. This is about private integrity. Those who wore obedience like a mask but hid rebellion beneath their routines will be exposed. And those whose hearts beat with surrender, even in silence, will be elevated. Heaven is not absent, it is watching. Heaven is not loud, it is observing. The silence in the atmosphere is not emptiness, it is investigation. And you, beloved, are not unseen. You are being weighed. You are being watched. You are being considered. And the trumpet of this prophecy only asks one question. Did Michael stop at your door or did he move on? Type I am anointed in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. Hear this now, says the Spirit, for the window closes by the dawn of October 16th. This is not a soft whisper. This is not a gentle nudge. This is a heaven-issued decree, burning through the veil between the seen and the unseen, reaching those whose spirits have been stirred in the night, whose hearts have quivered at the sound of divine inspection. The sword of Archangel Michael gleams, not in threat, but in truth. It does not swing wildly, it cuts with clarity. It has been drawn under divine command, not to destroy flesh but to divide spirit and motive, light and imitation, surrender and performance. This moment is sacred. This moment is surgical. There is no more time for lukewarm alignment. The doors of mercy remain open only for a breath longer. By the morning of October 16th, a spiritual curtain will fall, and every house, yes, yours too, will have been inspected. Not for perfection but for posture. Not for eloquence but for obedience. The inspection is not external. It is invisible, yet irrevocably real. This is not a message for the curious. This is not a message for the casual. This is a message for the called, those who have been feeling the inner tremor, the holy unrest, the sudden stillness in the room that cannot be explained. Have you felt it? A hush that enters like a presence. A moment where time pauses and something ancient, something divine stares at you in silence. Some of you have had dreams, of figures wrapped in light, of gates opening, of voices calling names in the wind. That was not fantasy. That was not emotional overflow. That was divine reconnaissance. Archangel Michael and his host have been dispatched, and their movement is swift, precise, and unapologetically aligned with God's agenda. He does not come to negotiate. He comes to verify. He stands at thresholds, listening not for the sound of music or worship, but for the sound of surrender. He walks the spiritual streets of nations, neighborhoods, and now your house. Yes, your address is known in heaven. Who among you, the Spirit asks, has bowed in stillness when no one was watching? Who among you turned obedience into offering? These are not rhetorical questions. They are investigative inquiries from the court of heaven. The record books are open, and the audit is active. This is the moment between mercy and judgment, between being lifted in favor or left in delay. This is the moment where God does not just search for praise, He searches for proof. Some of you are experiencing confusion, delay, emotional fatigue, but not because you're under attack. It's because you're under review. Archangel Michael does not knock like a guest. He hovers like a guard, posing only where heaven sees alignment. You may think nothing has changed, but if you listen closely, you will feel the quiet pressure of God drawing a line in the spirit. A line of separation. A line of revelation. Some will wake up on October 16th feeling lighter, renewed, favored. Others will wake up disoriented, left behind in a moment they didn't even realize was passing. Not because God rejected them, but because they refused alignment. So hear this: heaven is not ignoring you. Heaven is inspecting you. Archangel Michael does not delay his steps. He either pauses to mark or moves on. When he passed your house, what did he sense? Worship or worry? Surrender or stubbornness? This is the final hour of stillness before the spiritual shaking becomes visible. Do not misread the silence. The silence is not absence, it is evaluation. And the window is almost closed. Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. Lately, something has shifted, not just around you but within you. The air feels different. The nights have grown quieter, all is unnaturally still, and your spirit has begun to sense it, the disturbance of the divine in motion. There is a mystery rising like smoke in the atmosphere. Conversations feel shallow, emotions run deeper than usual, and the people around you, they've started watching you differently. Some have grown distant. Some have become uneasy. They don't understand it, but you do, at least, in part. Because heaven is stirring the unseen, and what was hidden is being pushed to the surface. The Spirit of the Lord is pulling back curtains, lifting veils, and exposing what no longer fits your future. And as this prophetic date, October 16th, draws near, the tension you feel is not coincidence. It is not emotional imbalance. It is not fatigue from the battles of life. It is the weight of spiritual reconfiguration. The places you used to find peace now provoke restlessness. The conversations you once tolerated now sound like noise in your ears. The people you've tried to hold on to now feel like strangers. Why? Because the Spirit is separating the aligned from the attached. This is the mystery of visitation. When Archangel Michael passes, nothing remains hidden. His presence carries the weight of inspection, and where he lingers, the atmosphere begins to crack open. That's what's happening to you now. That's why your body has felt weary without cause. That's why your emotions have swung without logic. That's why your heart has carried a sorrow it could not name. You are not broken. You are being stirred by divine presence. Those around you, they sense the shift, but they cannot name it. So they mislabel it. They accuse your silence of arrogance. They mistake your isolation for rebellion. They see your discernment as distance. But what they don't see is the angel standing outside your house, marking your threshold, shielding you from what cannot enter your next season. You are being misunderstood because heaven is making you undeniable. And yes, this had been lonely. Yippee lonely. But not all loneliness is abandonment. Some loneliness is holy insulation. God is pulling you away, not to punish but to protect. Not to isolate, but to insulate. There are voices He can no longer let influence you. There are relationships that carry familiar spirits disguised as friendship. There were alignments that kept you anchored to old seasons. And now, heaven is severing what sympathy could not. This is the disruption before the distinction. You have cried tears that had no language, felt pressure that had no source. You've watched doors close that made no sense. But the Spirit says, this is purification, not punishment. God is cutting away what your own strength would never remove. And He is doing it swiftly because October 16th is not a suggestion. It is a deadline. The line is being drawn. The faithful are being lifted. The rebellious are being struck. And those who try to remain in the middle will find themselves in the dark. There is a tremor beneath your surface. You feel it. The shaking, the restlessness, the tension. Don't rebuke it. Don't pray it away. This is not the enemy. This is the Spirit confirming your inspection. It's the divine version of being called into the inner room. And once you enter, you do not leave the same. So guard your heart. Guard your mouth. Guard your peace. For even now, the silence is pressing the guilty. They feel it. The ones who plotted, the ones who mocked, the ones who wore masks. They feel it. Even without a word, they feel seen. And as for you, you've been noticed, not by man, but by heaven. The sword is near. The pause has begun. Will the angel stop at your house or move on? Type IMSET apart in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 888 has been released over you. As the angel of the Lord moves through nations, homes, and hearts, your support helps this prophetic voice reach those on the edge of breakthrough. This is more than a message. It's a mantle. When you sow into this mission, you're not giving to a platform. You're giving to the rescue of souls and the alignment of destinies. Just as light flows where oil has been poured, your support becomes the oil that fuels this fire. The word declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you," and that promise is alive now. I feel led to invite you, if this word is shifting something in your spirit, respond. Give as the Spirit leads, through super thanks, membership, or directly through the PayPal link in the video description. Your giving is prophetic. Your obedience is warfare. Your seed is sealing something in the Spirit. Do it now. Move while the angel is near. Don't hesitate. Activate your harvest. What you've been facing was never random. It was never ordinary. And it most certainly was never just life happening. No, what you've endured has been divine warfare disguised as delay, and the conflict that has surrounded you was never aimed at your comfort. It was targeting your covenant. The pressure, the betrayal, the false accusations, the silent seasons where prayers echoed back without answers, it wasn't because you were forsaken. It was because you were marked. Heaven had been testing the strength of your roots in secret. God permitted the shaking not to punish you but to prove what was planted in you. And when the angel of the Lord, Michael, the archangel of divine war, was released with the command to lift the faithful, strike the rebellious, his sword moved with one objective: to locate loyalty. Not the kind of loyalty that shouts in public, but the kind that stands firm in silence, the kind that weeps but stays faithful, the kind that waits when walking away would be easier. The enemy didn't attack you because you were weak. He attacked you because heaven was watching you for elevation. He hoped to find you doubting, disobedient, distracted. But God has been recording every moment of resistance, every time you chose prayer over petness, every time you chose silence over slander, every time you chose to believe while bleeding. Yes, those were not just spiritual moments, they were divine auditions for advancement. The warfare wasn't random. It was an investigation. It was heaven looking for evidence of endurance. Every delay was diagnostic. Every storm was surgical. And every conflict was permissioned, not by man, not by the enemy, but by God, to sift you, to sanctify you, and to separate you from what cannot come into your next dimension. And now you're here, standing on the edge of October 16th, the day of reckoning, the day of release, the day of reversal. It is not just a date. It is a doorway. And Archangel Michael is passing. The sword is drawn. The records are open. The test has ended, and the results are being written in fire. Do you understand now why you had to lose what you lost? Why people had to turn on you? Why doors slammed without warning? Why seasons of stillness stretched so long it felt like abandonment? Because God was framing the battlefield, and only those with the heart of the obedient would survive the exposure. Others were loud, but you were loyal. They were visible, but you were vetted in silence. This is why you didn't fit in certain rooms. This is why your name was left out of certain conversations. This is why people you thought were for you began turning away. God was removing what was blinding you, so you could hear clearly when the sword passed by. Every rejection was protection. Every delay was direction. Every heartbreak was heaven's hands repositioning your future. The Spirit says you were not being punished. You were being profiled for promotion. Heaven was watching. Not your performance. Not your perfection. But your posture. And the report has been handed over to Michael. Now, the decision is not being made. The decision is being enforced. So understand this. The resistance you face was not personal. It was prophetic. The storm was not sent to stop you. It was sent to shift you. The conflict is confirmation that you were never common, that you were chosen for something greater, something higher, something that could only be entrusted to the faithful. And now the sword stands at your threshold. Will it pass you by, or will it lift you? Type "I am loyal" in the comments if you receive this word. Lesson code 1919 is now assigned to your obedience. Within the next 72 hours, spiritual lines will be drawn, not with chalk or ink, but with the fire of finality. Heaven is no longer waiting for response. Heaven is now moving to enforce the verdict. The instruction has not changed. Lift the faithful. Strike the rebellious. And the sword is no longer hovering in hesitation. It is advancing in motion. October 16th is the line. A divine moment of separation. The final checkpoint. A spiritual border between the ones who walked in obedience through silence and those who wore the disguise of submission but lived in quiet rebellion. And now, everything hidden is about to be declared through consequence. Some of you will wake up and feel the sudden surge of divine clarity. Your thoughts will be aligned, your heart steadied, your strength renewed, not by emotion, but by an invisible wind of heaven's affirmation. These are the signs that you have been lifted. Not lifted in status, not lifted in fame, but lifted in the eyes of heaven. Lifted in assignment, lifted in visibility, lifted into the next phase of your purpose. But for others, something else will happen. The air will feel heavier. The days will seem delayed. Prayers will feel muffled. Direction will be unclear. And confusion will begin to gather like a fog over the sea and making. This is not random chaos. This is the sign of being struck. Not by the wrath of God, but by the withdrawal of His wind. Because when heaven no longer breathes over you, you are left to move with the energy of your own strength. And that strength is not enough for the season ahead. The rebellious are not just those who curse God with their lips. They are those who claim to love Him, yet refuse to align. They are those who perform obedience in public but despise instruction in private. And now, the veil has been lifted. The time for pretense is over. Archangel Michael is moving. He is not an emblem of mythology. He is the commander of divine inspection. And His presence over your house is not poetic, it is prophetic. He has been instructed to pause only where the fragrance of faith remains, where obedience still whispers through the halls, where hearts tremble not out of fear but reverence. When He passed your dwelling, what did He feel? Was it a house of surrender, or a house of excuses? Those who have endured ridicule, slander, and abandonment but kept their hearts clean, watch closely. Your reward will not come through people. It will come through sudden reversals, open doors no man can shut, divine downloads in dreams, and encounters that shift your direction. These are not random blessings. They are the result of being lifted. But those who mocked divine timing, who scoffed at the silence of God, who operated in delay and called it discernment, they will begin to feel doors that once opened easily now begin to creak and shut. Their usual rhythm will break. The favor they depended on will grow thin. Not because God is cruel, but because God is just. This is not punishment. It is realignment. The sword does not swing in anger. It moves in accuracy. And the separation that is coming will be silent, but it will be undeniable. Those who are lifted will rise quickly, and those who are struck will realize, too late, that the moment passed while they were still reasoning. There is no more time to delay. Heaven has already decided. The angel is already moving, and the window will close, not with noise, but with certainty. Be alert. Keep your posture aligned. Keep your spirit awake. Because the spiritual weather is changing, and those who are not anchored will be swept away. You have 72 hours. The gate will close. The mark will be made. Did the angel stop at your door, or did he move on? Type "I am ready" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 555 has just been written over your household. The Spirit of the Lord speaks again with clarity. Be still. This is not a suggestion. This is not a guise. This is a divine command, issued in the language of preservation. At this hour, stillness is not laziness. It is strategy. Silence is not weakness. It is warfare. For those who are aligned, the Lord says, I have already judged your case. I have already ruled in your favor. Now do not interfere with the enforcement of your verdict. Many of you are feeling the tremble of transition. The weight of it sits on your shoulders. The uncertainty hovers like a question. But let it be known, Heaven is not undecided. Heaven is in motion. And those who speak too soon, fight battles not assigned, or try to explain what only the Spirit can reveal, will unintentionally delay what was already being delivered. This is not your fight to finish. He is heaven's to finalize. Angels are moving in the quiet. Yes, right now. Not when the worship music is loud, not when the church lights are flashing, but when the room is still and your soul whispers yes without words. That is where the real warfare is being won. That is where Archangel Michael and his host are doing their work, in the atmosphere of obedience, not in the noise of panic. You do not need to strive. You do not need to argue. You do not need to vindicate yourself in front of people who cannot see what heaven is doing behind the veil. Heaven has heard the lies spoken about you. Heaven has seen the betrayal you endured in silence. Heaven has tracked the pain no one acknowledged. And heaven has already acted. Now, you must be still. The stillness is your shield. It is the signal that you trust the God who sent the angel. It is the final act of obedience before the breakthrough becomes visible. And I must warn you, the enemy will try in these final moments to provoke a reaction, through people, through conflict, through subtle irritations that seem insignificant. Do not fall into the trap of carnal retaliation. Do not let distraction rewrite your direction. Withdraw from chaos. Exit the arguments. Refuse to return to battles that have already been won in the Spirit. You don't need to win in the realm of noise. You've already been lifted in the realm of truth. The sword has marked your door. The blood of your obedience speaks louder than the accusations of your critics. Let the stillness speak for you. Guard your gates, your ears, your eyes, your heart. This is not the hour to feast on gossip, fear, or doubt. This is the time to shut down every channel that leaks fear and amplifies confusion. You must protect your peace like it is your inheritance, because it is. And those who guard their stillness now will step into their new season unshaken, while others are swallowed by their own noise. There is a sacred quiet surrounding the homes that Michael has visited, a spiritual hush that covers those who pass the inspection. Don't disturb that atmosphere with needless reactions. Don't open the door to chaos when the angel has already shut it. Let heaven finish what heaven has started. Be still. Heaven fights when you don't. Heaven moves when you worship in silence. Heaven protects when you don't try to perform. You have been noticed. You have been weighed. And now, you have been defended. Let that be enough. Let God complete what He began in the dark. Because when the story unfolds, your silence will scream louder than anything your words could have achieved. You are under divine covering. You are not being ignored. You are being protected. Stay still. The angel is finishing the work. Type "I am protected" in the comments if you receive this word. Lesson code 7744 is now surrounding your life with divine insulation. You are not the same. You may still live in the same body, walk the same streets, carry the same name, but in the Spirit, you have been reborn through fire. The visitation chained you. The silence shaped you. The warfare purified you. And though others may not yet see the change, heaven has already recorded it. What tried to break you became the hammer that forged your anointing. This is not about feeling strong. This is about becoming unshakable. While others shouted and were noticed, you whispered yes and were marked. While others pushed their way forward, you stayed behind and were prepared. And now the Spirit declares, you have emerged with oil on your scars and authority in your voice. Heaven has taken note of your endurance, and what was once hidden has become your seal of survival. You were not overlooked. You were hidden for the right moment. This is that moment. The inspection was not to expose you. It was to elevate you. When Michael hovered over your house, he didn't find perfection. He found posture. He found a bowed heart, a surrendered will, a flame still flickering in the darkness. And that was enough. The angel did not move on. He paused. He stood at the edge of your obedience and released the divine marking of favor. You have been selected. You have been chosen. You have been stamped with heaven's seal. The shame they tried to put on you no longer fits. The labels they tried to assign you no longer apply. The roles you once played in broken systems, the titles you once accepted out of insecurity, all of it has been burned away. You are no longer who they think you are. You've been through the fire, and now you carry the scent of survival. Every tear, every moment of silence, every hour of confusion was doing more than testing you. It was transfiguring you. And now, there is a boldness rising, a holy confidence awakening. You are beginning to walk differently, not with arrogance but with assignment, not with pride but with precision, not with noise but with the quiet power of someone who has seen God move in the dark. You are carrying a mantle now, not one handed to you by men, but one released by angels. Your silence was your sanctuary. Your stillness was your sword. Your obedience became your elevation. Heaven doesn't mark the loud. It marks the loyal. You were not fighting for survival. You were being refined for authority. And now, you are stepping into the space between heaven's whisper and man's recognition. The shift has already happened. It may not be visible yet in your surroundings, but it is undeniable in your spirit. You are not trying to become. You already are. The tables are turning. The atmosphere is shifting. And where you once walked in hesitation, you will now walk in a holy confidence. Because you are not moving in your own strength, you are moving in the power of being chosen. When others look at you, they may not understand the glow, but it is the residue of the visitation. Michael didn't pass you by. He paused. And in that pause, heaven wrote your next chapter. You are no longer praying for survival. You are preparing for assignment. The waiting was never about delay. It was about divine distinction. And now, your time has come. Rise. Stand tall. Walk forward. You were not left behind. You were launched in silence. Type "I have risen" in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 3838 is now hovering over your path with divine favor. Hear this now. The shaking was never meant to destroy you. It was always meant to divinely reconfigure your life from the inside out. The delays were not denials. They were recalibrations. The silence you endured was not divine rejection. It was heaven's secret classroom. God wasn't ignoring you. He was developing you in the dark, preparing you to carry what the next season demands. The date hath been set. The angel has moved. The inspection is complete. And now, the unveiling begins. October 16th is more than a date. It is a threshold into divine activation. This is not symbolic. It is literal in the spirit. Something is being unlocked. The door that you once only prayed about is about to respond to your posture, not just your petitions. This is where waiting becomes walking. This is where you shift from being observed to being released. You may not have seen it, but heaven has been rearranging everything around you. Relationships, opportunities, locations, all of it has been under divine reorganization. Some people were pulled away not because they failed you, but because they could not follow you where God is leading. The Spirit hath been silently sorting what is seasonal from what is supernatural. That is why the disruption came. That is why your comfort was removed. You were not being punished. You were being aligned. And now, here it is, the confirmation. The Lord declares, your name has been spoken in the council of heaven, not whispered, not passed over, declared. Your obedience echoed in the chambers of divine authority, and what was once delayed is now being dispatched. Favor is moving. Strategy is falling into place. Resources are being stirred in places you haven't even entered yet. Because the spiritual vote is in, and heaven said yes. This next move will not be gradual. It will be sudden. The very things that resisted you for years will now open with one knock. The very people who dismissed you will now have to watch the spotlight of God rest upon your name. You are being positioned for impact, not to be seen but to be sent. Heaven is exposing you now, not to harm you, but to highlight the harvest. You have been faithful in private. You've warred in worship. You've waited in silence. And now the Spirit says, I am pulling you forward into visibility with purpose. This is your emergence. This is your alignment. This is the divine promotion that must happen in the Spirit before the natural can catch up. This is why your appetite has changed, why your discernment has sharpened, why certain things you used to tolerate now disturb you. You're not being distant. You're being distinguished. Heaven has upgraded your spiritual authority. You've crossed over. And now, every step you take from this day forward is no longer under review. It is under release. October 16th is not just heaven's deadline. It is your lift-off. The things you lost will be returned in better form. The people who misunderstood you will see the hand of God on your life. The dreams that were buried are coming back resurrected with new power. Because now is your time. The spiritual silence has ended. The angel has paused. And heaven is now announcing your name in places that once ignored you. You are not waiting anymore. You are walking into revelation. Type I am activated in the comments if this word touches your spirit. Blessing code 9229 is surrounding your destiny with divine speed. You've just received revelation that cost you silence, warfare, and obedience. If this message lit a fire in your spirit, then so where the Spirit speaks. This platform is more than content. It's a prophetic trumpet declaring heaven's agenda in this hour. Your support allows this word to reach the broken, the wandering, the called but confused. As rivers flow where the dam is broken, so does your giving break open new territory for God's voice. Heaven declared, the laborer is worthy of his wages, and this labor is the Lord's. If you feel led, respond now. Become a supporter through Super Thanks, YouTube membership, or by sewing directly through PayPal. The link is in the video description. Bless your seed as a weapon. Bless your gift as a declaration. This is holy ground. Move with urgency. Your giving is not reaction. It's revelation in motion. The heavens now await your agreement. Not your performance. Not your perfection. But your yes. The prophecy had been spoken. The angel has passed. The sword has separated. And now, the only thing left is this, your response. In the courtroom of heaven, verdicts are sealed, but on earth, they must be agreed with. The Spirit of the Lord declares, speak it aloud. Seal it in the atmosphere. Align with what I've already decreed over you. This is your moment of activation. Not a gentle awakening, a violent agreement with destiny. You heard the message. You felt the shift. You've seen the signs in your atmosphere, the tension, the pressure, the silence that wasn't empty, but divine. And now, Heaven leans close to see who will say it, who will declare, not just with lips, but with life, I align with divine order. Because heaven does not move by emotion, it moves by agreement. The angel cannot remain where there is no declaration. The sword cannot enforce what the spirit resists, and favor cannot fall where fear still rules the mind. So speak it now, with trembling or with boldness, but speak it nonetheless. I align with divine order. I receive heaven's assignment. I agree with the inspection. I accept the mark of the faithful. These are not just phrases, they are keys. Spoken agreement is how you sign your name in the Spirit. It is how heaven knows who has understood the message and stepped forward to walk in its weight. Rise now, not to fight but to witness, not to strive but to be sent. You are no longer in the holding place. You are no longer waiting for confirmation. The evidence has been recorded. Your endurance hath been measured. Your heart hath been tested. And the Spirit now says, advance. This is not ambition. This is not self-promotion. This is divine momentum. Your yes is your permission slip into the next dimension. Your agreement is what unlocks the invisible doors. It was never about ability. It was always about alignment. There are things that will now begin to move because you have finally said yes without conditions. Your yes has weight now. It carries fire. It carries your scars. It carries the oil pressed from private obedience. Don't expect everyone to understand your shift. This kind of agreement offends those who live in hesitation. But you can't wait for popular approval when you've received a personal visitation. Michael did not stop at every house. He stopped where obedience lived. And if he stopped at yours, it is because you were chosen to carry something bigger than survival. You were chosen to release God's justice into the earth. Heaven is waiting for your words, but even more, for your walk. The next thing you do must echo your yes. The next decision, the next conversation, the next response. It all matters now. Because you are not walking as you once did. You're not moving under confusion. You're moving under a mantle. Archangel Michael passed your house, and he paused. He paused because you were ready, even if you didn't feel like it. He paused because God had already decided, and your life had agreed, even in silence. You carry something now. Something invisible but undeniable. You are walking proof that inspection can lead to elevation. You are the evidence of a life surrendered at the right time. So declare it. Walk it. Live it. Heaven waits no longer. You've been activated. Type yes in the comments if this word resonates with you. Lesson code 1444 is now igniting your divine momentum. While you slept, heaven moved. While you wept in the midnight hour, wondering if God had forgotten your name, something sacred was being written. Records were being updated. Assignments were being released. Mandates were being transferred. And those with ears to hear must now understand. What you felt in your body, what you sensed in your emotions, what stirred in your dreams, it was not random. It was a silent exchange in the spirit realm. There are no sirens at heaven's courtroom. There are no alarms when the angel enters. There are only whispers, whispers that reach the depths of the surrendered heart. And in those whispers, the divine transaction occurs. What was withheld is now being reassigned. What was stolen is now being recovered. What was delayed is now being accelerated. Because God does not need noise to make history. He only needs alignment. You've been feeling something shifting beneath your feet, haven't you? A strange discomfort. A spiritual unease. That's not confusion. That's transition. Your spirit knows it. It's been pacing before your mind could even understand. That's why you've been restless at night, stirred in the early hours. That's why certain relationships have gone quiet. That's why the doors you used to knock on now feel foreign. Heaven has already redefined your map. The exchange is already in motion. You are no longer holding what you held. Something hath been lifted off you, and something greater, weightier, more divine has taken its place. You didn't feel it fully, because heaven often moves without warning. But your spirit bears witness. Your tears have testified. Your hunger has confirmed it. The spiritual climate around you is no longer the same. This is why certain people no longer feel drawn to you. This is why some voices have gone silent. Because heaven has repositioned you without your permission, because your obedience already gave God access. You didn't need to say yes again. Your waiting said it for you. Your faith in the dark spoke volumes. The stillness that surrounded your pain became your most powerful surrender. Listen carefully. What was stolen through confusion is now returning through revelation. You don't need to chase anything. What's coming to you is covenant-eyed. It's been routed, reassigned, and it's coming with interest. The enemy thought your delay would become your defeat. But heaven used that same delay as the stage for your distinction. The transfer is happening, and not just in resources, not just in favor, but in mantles, authority, access, insight, discernment, being, voice. Where others disqualified themselves through rebellion, you remained. Where others turned back, you bowed lower. And because of that, you were chosen to receive what others forfeited. The exchange is just. It is righteous, and it is happening now. You may not see it with your eyes yet, but you will see the evidence soon. Doors will open without a knock. Provision will arrive without a request. People you never contacted will be drawn to the sound on your life. Because something shifted in the courts of heaven. And what belonged to you, even if held up, blocked, buried, or mocked, is now being restored in power. You didn't miss your moment. You didn't lose your pour-in. Heaven has been moving while the world was sleeping, and the records now reflect what God already decided. You are marked, equipped, and released. The exchange is complete. Type "I receive the transfer" in the comments if this message confirms what you've been sensing. Blessing code 2020 is now being written into your season. The time of spiritual silence is over. The hour of divine reversal has come. What you have endured was not missed by heaven. What they did to you, what they said about you, what they attempted in darkness, all of it has been seen, recorded, and returned to sender. The days of unjust suffering are being exchanged for days of supernatural settlement. God has stepped into the scene, and justice is riding on the wind. This is not revenge. This is not payback in the way the world understands. This is divine rebalancing. The scales that once tilted against you have been touched by heaven's hand. The places where you were denied, dishonored, and dismissed, those same places will become the very platforms of your public redemption. Because when God delivers justice, He does not do it quietly. He does it in a way that even your enemies must witness. The Lord has seen the plans crafted in secret against you. He heard every whisper, every plot, every false accusation cloaked in flattery. And He let it happen. He allowed the betrayal. He permitted the silence. Not because He was absent, but because He was setting a stage for His glory to be revealed through your pain. You were not overlooked. You were reserved. And now the reservation is over. This is your release. Archangel Michael did not pass your house. He stood at your gate with his sword drawn, waiting for heaven's timing to strike down what has stood against your name. And now the hour has arrived. The sword has turned, and what once looked like loss is now becoming leverage. The trap they set for you is now the tomb of their own dishonor. The lies they told about you are unraveling in front of them. The delays they tried to orchestrate are collapsing under their own weight. Because justice delayed is not justice denied, and heaven always repays in full. The Lord says, what they used to wound you will become the weapon I use to crown you. Your tears have not only watered the ground, they filled the cup of recompense. And that cup is now tipping over. You will see recompense. You will see reversal. You will see public restoration. Not because you demanded it, but because you endured the testing and refused to bow to bitterness. Every secret weapon formed against you has now been exposed in the spirit. The very people who thought they succeeded in breaking you will now have to watch you rise, not in revenge, but in righteous vindication. Because God's justice never misses its mark, and He does not elevate out of emotion, He elevates out of order. You are next because you were faithful when no one else was watching. The favor now resting on your life is not random. It is justice pressed in light. The opportunities headed your way are not coincidence. They are heaven's apology for what you had to survive. And those who mocked you, those who cursed you, those who acted as if your silence meant weakness, they will now witness that God was building your table in the presence of every enemy. You didn't have to fight them. You didn't have to prove anything. You didn't have to defend yourself. Because the sword of justice was already moving on your behalf. And now, the divine reversal has begun. Let them see it. Let them feel it. Let them witness the weight of God's justice on your life. You have been cleared. You have been called. You have been compensated. And now, you will be crowned. Type divine justice is mine in the comments if this word confirms what you've endured. Blessing code 7171 hath been activated over your vindication. The Spirit concludes with a holy affirmation. Peace be upon those who stayed faithful through the silence. Yes, this is the benediction for the bowed, the blessing for the broken who never stopped believing, the divine seal for those who stayed when it would have been easier to walk away. This is not the ending. This is the crowning. You were not overlooked. You were not passed by. Archangel Michael came to your house, and he stopped. The other, he marked. He lingered long enough to record your surrender. You may have felt invisible in the eyes of people, but heaven saw you clearly. Not your clothes, not your resume, not your reputation. Heaven saw your posture. Heaven responded to your yes when it was hard, your worship when it was dry, your obedience when it cost you everything. And now the verdict has been released. You are sealed, you are seen, and you are sent. The sword did not pass you over. It didn't cut you down. It cut away the chains that tried to keep you stuck in cycles you didn't deserve. The pain you endured was not wasted. The season you survived was not meaningless. Every dark hour, every sleepless night, every hidden tear has now been converted into divine oil, and it rests upon you as a mantle of quiet authority. You will walk forward now, but not as you once did. Not in hesitation. Not in confusion. Not in fear. You walk now in quiet strength, because your obedience has spoken louder than any words could have. Your life became a sermon that reached the throne room. And heaven responded. This moment was never about man's approval. It was never about applause. It was never about recognition. It was always about alignment. The sword that passed by your home didn't just inspect, it elevated. It didn't just visit, it marked. You were not passed by. You were passed through, into promise. So now rise in your new mantle. Walk in your new rhythm. Speak with your new authority. You carry the weight of survival, yes, but also the fragrance of supernatural favor. You are not common. You are not replaceable. You are not forgotten. You are a vessel heaven has chosen, sealed, and now released. The prophecy is complete. The separation has occurred. The window has closed. The lifting has begun. Walk humbly. Walk boldly. But walk, for you have been chosen. It is done. Type I am sealed in the comments if this final blessing rests upon you. Blessing code 1000 is now covering you with unshakable peace. If this entire prophetic message has ignited something deep within your spirit, if you felt heaven speaking directly to your season, don't let this moment pass without a response. What you just received was not entertainment, it was divine impartation, and your support helps carry this word to thousands who are still waiting for their visitation. Sow into what spoke life to you. Let your seed match the weight of the word. Heaven is watching, not just your hearing but your response. Through super thanks, membership, or through PayPal in the video description, you can move prophetically by faith. This isn't about supporting a channel. This is about supporting a trumpet that carries God's sound in this generation. Your seed is seen. Your giving is warfare. Respond boldly. Heaven is still moving.